Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kendall Tyson from Aspire Counseling Wellness Center, and welcome to another Storytime Saturday with me. Today, we are going to be reading The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. This was a book recommended to me by a fellow therapist for children that may struggle with perfectionism, having trouble making mistakes, moving beyond things not being perfect. So today I'm going to read this story to you, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of insight on what perfectionism is, like a clinical definition, and what are some things that can cause perfectionism, and what are some things that we can do or some mindsets that we can adopt to move beyond having a perfectionistic attitude and working more towards excellence. So I'm going to get started. You all know I love doing these Storytime Saturdays. The most magnificent thing. She already looks like she is a little inventor. By Ashley Spires. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things, he unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She's going to make the most magnificent thing. Get it right. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it. And she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Is that her little doggy? Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. Out of the way on the stoop. Okay. She have a lot of stuff. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she's finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side, her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of, sort of okay. It's all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. Okay, so I see that they're being evaluative. You have to look at what you're doing, do some revisions, make some mistakes. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles, tugs, and wags. When she's finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She is a little engineer. One time for the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square, she makes it round, she gives it legs, she adds an antenna, she makes it fuzzy, she makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese, but none of them are magnificent. Lots of trial and error. She should be a scientist. Teacher. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She's mad. So if you're looking, I wonder what about her physical presence lets you know that she's mad? Can you see? How do you know she's mad? Just by looking at her. And I bet sometimes it can be frustrating to have this thing in your head that other people think is great, and you're just like, that's not even it. Crunch. The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It's not her finest moment. She is really going through the cycle of emotions. I'm no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. I like that assistant. Helping her remove herself from the situation. Get some space to think. It's not much help at first, but before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. Sounds like she's being mindful. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong thing that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. Just need some fresh perspective. Take a break, look at it again. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistants make sure there are no distractions. She's focused. This is the perfect thing to ward off bears. This will stop that leak. This one's all wet. The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. So it looks like other people can see the beauty in what she's doing. She's so focused on that one thing that she's not realizing all of the great things that she's created. The pair take a good look, long look. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work, too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. Oh my goodness, I love this story. Okay, so just a few little reflection questions. When you think about the story, The Most Magnificent Thing, parents, if you're with your kids, which I hope you are, I'm wondering what are some themes that you notice in the book. Some things that I notice are perseverance. Some other things that I notice are being mindful, having someone there to support you that sees that you're kind of struggling and you may need a break. So, taking that break, being able to remove yourself from the thing that's frustrating you and coming back with a fresh set of eyes. So gaining a new perspective. Also realizing that mistakes or failures, they lead up to success, right? You may create something that you were completely unaware of or unintended, in the process of that thing that you were trying to create, the end goal. I'm also noticing that she's so focused on the end goal that she's not realizing the masterpieces that she's creating during the process, which, children, adults, all of us, at some point, I guess we get mired in that thing that we're so intent upon realizing, creating, experiencing, that we're not realizing, or we're not fully present when we are going through the process and able to see all the lessons and the beauty of that. So what I wanted to just give you some brief information about is what is perfectionism, right? And, the technical definition is a refusal to accept any standard short of perfect. And, we've heard throughout our lives that there's no such thing as perfect, which, is true. Because once you've reached the plateau of perfect, there's no room to grow. And I would imagine that'd be kind of boring, right? But for individuals that have a perfectionistic mindset, it's important to know where these attitudes and beliefs can stem from. And so some potential causes of perfectionistic thinking or mindset or behavior, and this is by far not exhaustive, could be if someone has experienced frequent disapproval from loved ones, from authority figures, people that they look up to, and if they're experiencing feelings of insecurity and inadequacy. And it makes it very difficult to, if you aren't feeling that you're worthy or good enough, to begin a process, right? So additionally, if there's someone that may suffer from a particular mental health condition, anxiety, social anxiety, possibly obsessive compulsive disorder, or what we call OCD, these are a perfectionistic mindset or attitude can be a risk factor for these particular issues. But not all people that are perfectionistic have OCD. But a lot of people that struggle with OCD do have perfectionistic mindsets and attitudes. So it's not absolute. Additionally, if you have a parent potentially that displays a perfectionistic attitude that wants you to potentially, they display approval when you don't get that perfect score. They want you to always be perfect at everything. That can create a level of anxiety that's difficult to maintain. And if they're not necessarily focused on the growth, but the outcome. And so additionally, if you struggle with what we call an insecure attachment style when growing up, if you had like a troubled attachment with your parents as you were being raised, you may be, when you're older, have trouble, being able to soothe yourself when you are experiencing turbulence or troubled situations. So, people that are high achieving sometimes struggle with perfectionistic mindsets and attitudes. And I'll just a moment of self-disclosure, I have dealt with perfectionism for a very long time. It's not the easiest thing to break, but it's possible. Because you reach a certain standard and you're known for attaining that standard. That's kind of part of your identity and your persona. So then you have to do things to maintain that. And that can be very stressful. That can be very anxiety provoking and can induce feelings of fear if you don't feel you have the necessary capability to maintain that level of perfection in everything that you do. And some behaviors that you'll notice when working with either a person or an individual that deals with perfectionism is procrastination. That's one of them. It's like, what's the point of getting started if it's not going to be perfect? If I can't do the thing perfectly the first time, then there's no point in getting started. So you'll notice procrastination behaviors, which is rooted in anxiety. If you notice that your child or yourself, again, is more focused on the outcome instead of the process. The learning is in the process and not necessarily in the outcome. So if you notice that they struggle with being able to think through the process, enjoy the process, being present in the process, and they're only focused on what does it look like in the end, and is it perfect? Will people like it? Again, rooted in that that feeling of insecurity, inferiority, and not feeling good enough if it's not perfect. So, also, one that I notice is when people take an excessive amount of time to complete something that's relatively simple, because there's a lot of rumination. There's a lot of, again, potentially procrastination, waiting to the last minute, doing something small over and over and over again because it either doesn't sound right or doesn't fit right. It's just a constant second guessing because it's not perfect. And it's a struggle sometimes because unless they get their desired result, then they could potentially continue to be unsatisfied. So if you're noticing these behaviors in your child, it's important to, have conversations and try to figure out the root cause of this. Are they feeling unworthy? Are they feeling insecure? Are they comparing themselves to their classmates and their friends? And if you know that you may potentially display this type of behavior, then you may want to work with a professional to help you gain a more balanced view and a better way of working through situations and changing your mindset around perfection. I tell my students and clients all the time is that instead of seeking perfection, let's work towards excellence. And what that means is you're not looking to be perfect, but you're looking to do your very best whenever you do something, right? We want you to be fully present. We want you to do the best that you can on each assignment, each task, anything that you put your effort into, instead of looking to be perfect, because it's a metric that doesn't exist, right? So these are some things that I tell my children, I call my students my children, that even if you don't get it right the first time or anytime, you're still worthy. Your worthiness is not centered around you being perfect. You're worthy just because. And the fact that you're able to be resilient and bounce back from mistakes demonstrates that you are learning and growing, and that you're going to be wiser and stronger the next time you encounter a situation. You'll have a better way of managing your emotions and whatever is surrounding what you're trying to do. Also, failure is a necessary part of success. You'll probably, if you are trying to attain any level of success, you'll probably experience failure more often than you experience success. If you look at some of the greats, they've tried and tried and tried and tried, and then that one time it happened. So they were able to have to undergo a lot in order to get to where they wanted to be. And when I'm working with kids, I tell them all the time, when you're going through something and your mind starts telling you that it's not right, you have to be perfect, we have to counteract that by giving ourselves a different narrative. And I normally, teach, children to figure out, let's say, what could be something that you could tell yourself in the moment. And it's okay not to be perfect. I'm doing my very best, and I'm going to keep trying no matter what. But the thing is, our kids can't do this by themselves. As I always say, we are their role model, so it's incumbent upon us to show what that looks like, demonstrate what working towards excellence and not necessarily perfectionism and being able to bounce back from failure looks like. How does it sound? How do we behave when we're constantly striving and not being critical of ourselves or them? I know that we want the best for our kids, but parents, we have, again, a major role to play in the healthy development of self-esteem for our children. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Again, the book is The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. I have really enjoyed reading this book. I got it on Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive, but it packs a great value. I'm Kendall Tyson, owner and founder of Aspire Counseling and Wellness Center. You can check me out on Facebook, YouTube, the same name. My IG page is Aspire CWC. And please take a look at my online merchandise store, the inspired life. I hope there's something there that you like. Let's all promote mental health and wellness. And I hope that during this time you are staying safe, practicing physical distance, and still remaining socially connected. Until next Saturday, I hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday, and I can't wait till the next Storytime Saturday. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.